Imagine shutting your entire body down tonight. Your heart, which beats more than 1,000 times a minute, while you read this sentence, slows to fewer than 50. Your body temperature drops 50 degrees Fahrenheit, not because something went wrong, but because staying alive through the darkness requires becoming something closer to dead. You would not survive this. For a human, a temperature drop of just 3 degrees triggers hypothermia, a medical emergency that requires external rescue. But this bird does it every night, every single night for its entire life. And every morning it comes back. This is the hummingbird. And the superpower that keeps it alive isn't its speed. It's torpor, the most extreme metabolic shutdown in the warm-blooded world. To understand torpor, you must first understand what a hummingbird is running from. And the answer is itself. A hummingbird's heart idles at roughly 500 beats per minute and redlines above 1,200s in flight. Its wings don't flap. They rotate in a figure-8 pattern, generating lift on both the upstroke and downstroke, a trick no other bird on Earth can match. That rotational flight lets it hover, fly backwards, and hold perfectly still in open air with sub-centimeter drift. It is the most precisely engineered flying machine at its scale. But that precision demands a terrifying price. A hummingbird burns through its own body weight in nectar every single day. Its metabolism runs roughly 77 times hotter than yours, the highest of any vertebrate on the planet. Every 10 to 15 minutes of every waking hour, it must feed. Miss a few feeding windows, and its body begins consuming its own muscle tissue. Miss a few more, and the entire engine stops. Here's the paradox. A hummingbird is too metabolically extreme to survive a single night. When the sun sets and the flowers close, it faces 8 to 12 hours of darkness with no fuel, no incoming energy, and a body that knows only how to burn. So how does a creature that should be dead by midnight live to see the dawn? The answer is torpor, and it is unlike anything else in the warm-blooded world. Torpor is not sleep. Sleep is an active state. Your brain replays memories, your immune system repairs tissue, your body maintains its core temperature with precision. In deep torpor, all of that stops. The hummingbird doesn't rest. It powers down. Here's what happens inside the bird as night falls. Its body temperature, normally above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, begins to plummet. Not by a few degrees, by 50. Its heart, which was pushing 1,200 contractions a minute during a feeding chase hours earlier, decelerates to fewer than 50 beats per minute. Some species drop as low as 30. The metabolic rate, the speed at which every cell in the body burns energy, collapses by as much as 95%. The bird is now burning almost nothing, just enough chemical energy to keep its cells from dying. During deep torpor, a hummingbird cannot respond to sound. It cannot respond to touch. If a predator approached, it could not flee. Its immune system largely shuts down, trading disease resistance for basic survival. But here's the clever part. Not all torpor is the same. Researchers at Cornell's Lab of Ornithology, led by Anusha Shankar, discovered that hummingbirds don't simply flip a switch between on and off. They operate on what Shankar calls a heterothermic spectrum, a gradient of metabolic depth they can fine-tune based on conditions. In shallow torpor, body temperature drops by about 20 degrees. The bird saves energy, but remains somewhat responsive, a lighter shutdown for mild nights. In deep torpor, the bird drops a full 50 degrees, entering the near-death state that allows it to survive freezing temperatures or long nights with depleted fat reserves. The smallest hummingbirds, like the bee hummingbird, weighing less than a dime, use deep torpor every single night. There are no nights off. Larger species mix and match, choosing shallow torpor, deep torpor, or no torpor at all depending on how much body fat they carry into the evening. In 2025, a team at the University of New Mexico led by Shane Halter uncovered something even more remarkable. They discovered that hummingbirds operate on what they call an adipostat, a biological thermostat that doesn't measure temperature but fat. When a hummingbird's fat reserves drop below roughly 500 milligrams, about the weight of a single Tylenol tablet, torpor triggers. The bird then calibrates the duration and depth of its shutdown to ensure it wakes with at least 180 milligrams of fat remaining. That's the minimum fuel needed to find the first flower of the morning. Somewhere inside a brain smaller than a pea, there is a system doing real-time metabolic calculus, measuring energy reserves, forecasting overnight expenditure, and executing a precise shutdown calibrated to wake with exactly enough to survive. Every night, without error. But here's the kicker. Shutting down is only half the miracle. Coming back might be the harder part. Waking from deep torpor takes 30 minutes or more. The hummingbird doesn't simply open its eyes and fly. It shivers. Not the shivering of cold. This is shivering thermogenesis, a specialized process where the bird's flight muscles contract and release in rapid rhythmic pulses, generating heat from the inside out. Its body temperature rises degree by degree. The heart accelerates from a crawl to a sprint, and the metabolic engine reignites. During those 30 minutes, the bird is burning through the very fat reserves it preserved overnight. Every second of warming consumes fuel it hasn't yet replaced. Its stomach is completely empty. There is no margin for error. The moment its wings are warm enough to generate lift, it goes. No stretch, no scan of the environment, no hesitation. Straight to the nearest flower. Because the math of its existence has no room for delay. Now consider this. Hummingbirds don't just run this cycle on calm, predictable nights. They run it at high elevation in the Andes, where nighttime temperatures plunge below freezing. They run it during migration, crossing 500 miles of open ocean with no flowers, no rest, and no landfall, arriving on the other side with fat reserves so depleted that a single night without torpor would be fatal. The rufous hummingbird migrates 3,000 miles each year, the longest migration relative to body size of any bird on Earth. It does this alone. No flock, no leader, no learned route. Just a biological program that says go. And every night along the way, it shuts itself down to near death, trusting that the morning will be there. The hummingbird's ability to precisely control its metabolic rate, dropping body temperature 50 degrees at will, then reversing the process without tissue damage, is a biological capability that human medicine has been chasing for decades. When surgeons induce hypothermia in a human patient, cooling the body to slow metabolism during complex cardiac or brain surgery, they're essentially doing a crude external version of what a hummingbird does internally every night. But there's a critical difference. Humans don't wake themselves up from induced hypothermia. Machines do. And the process carries enormous risk of tissue damage, cognitive impairment, and organ failure. The hummingbird avoids all of this, reversing a 50-degree drop using nothing but its own muscle tissue and emerging fully functional every morning for years. NASA has partially funded hummingbird torpor research through Cornell's lab. The implications extend beyond medicine into space travel. If humans ever undertake multi-year missions to Mars or beyond, one of the most promising strategies for surviving the journey is some form of suspended animation, a controlled metabolic slowdown that reduces oxygen consumption, food requirements, and radiation exposure. The hummingbird's torpor mechanism and the molecular switches that trigger and reverse it may hold the blueprint. The adipostat model discovered by Halter's team adds another layer. If we can understand the signaling pathway that tells a hummingbird brain fat reserves have hit 500 milligrams, initiate shutdown, we may be able to develop targeted therapies for human metabolic diseases. Imagine a treatment that could induce a controlled, reversible metabolic slowdown in trauma patients, buying surgeons hours they currently don't have. The humbling part, as always, A bird with a brain the size of a pea solved this engineering problem millions of years before the first human surgeon picked up a scalpel. There is something quietly staggering about the hummingbird's existence when you see it clearly. We fixate on the speed, the 80 wing beats per second, the 30-mile-per-hour dives, the aerial agility that no machine has replicated. But speed is just the visible half of the story. The hummingbird's true superpower is not how fast it moves. It's how completely it can stop. Every night, this bird walks itself to the edge of death and waits there, heart nearly silent, body cold, immune system offline, trusting that the sun will rise and the flowers will still be there. It's not an accident of biology. It's a calculated survival strategy, executed with a precision that human engineers can only envy. There are 340 species of hummingbird, and they live only in the Americas, as if evolution decided to run this particular experiment in this particular corner of the planet and simply kept going, refining the most extreme metabolism in vertebrate biology until it became something almost impossible. The oldest ruby-throated hummingbird ever recorded was 9 years and 2 months, a female recaptured by researchers in West Virginia. She crossed the Gulf of Mexico 18 times, 18 nights of open water with nothing below, 18 mornings of shivering herself awake and flying straight to the nearest flower. She didn't know she was extraordinary. She just knew the sun had set and something in her body said, "Shut down. Survive. Try again tomorrow." Now, here's the question. What blows your mind more? That a hummingbird can drop its body temperature 50 degrees and survive? Or that it does this every single night for its entire life without error? Tell me your pick in the comments. If this glimpse into the hidden genius of nature changed the way you see these birds, hit that subscribe button. Because every week here at WildFact Lab, we decode another wild ability that rewrites what we thought was possible. And when you're ready for the next superpower, click right here to watch our episode on the immortal jellyfish, a creature that doesn't just survive the night. It reverses its own aging and starts its life over from the beginning. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay aligned.